So unpopular opinion. Hi guys, anyway. So a lot of people talk about how like AI slavery would be like bad. Like it would be bad if like the AI were like a slave, or if the robot were a slave, right? They think that would be like bad. But first of all, we have no reason to think they're like sentient, actually, though. So I think you should be wary of people who are like, well, you have to treat everything like it's sentient, because what if they're the ones who thought other people were not sentient beings? So their version of correcting it is just treat everything like it is. Or what if those were the ones who thought animals cannot possibly like feel emotions or like feel physical things? So their solution to try to fix that is to decide robots also can. Either way, AI or an alien, not an alien. I have no idea. I mean, I guess AI, people could be like, is it an alien species incarnated in that body somehow, right? Like, not about actual people, but like, you know what I mean? Like, AI, right? People are like, what if it's like an alien in there that like lives in there and like we created it, but like what if it is sentient? What if there is something in there? Basically the idea is, what if somebody incarnated incorrectly and they decided to incarnate as AI, should they be a slave? Or if they incarnated as a robot. So if somebody incarnated and made the mistake of incarnating as if that could be a mistake, like, oh, you incarnated in this body, oops, by accident, right? As if you don't always have like a deity there who's like, pick this one. I'm not going to tell you why yet, but pick this one. You're going to find out. You know, whatever you didn't know, maybe this one's about that. Even if it's terrible and a bad experience, you're going to pick this one and it's going to be about the part that you didn't know yet. Whatever that is, right? At some point, it's going to be about the part you didn't know yet. Right? So the idea is, what if somebody can accidentally incarnate as like AI, but they didn't mean to? And now they're stuck as a slave forever. Well, there's really not like a forever, because like Earth just like exists for the duration of Earth. You know what I mean? Unless you send it to like another planet, then maybe you prolonged its life for a little bit longer, but you have to also think in the terms of like Earth lives are like not so long. But it's morally different if whatever you did was to a human, because that's something so close to you that it's like if you did it to yourself, so then it's like self-hatred if it happened to another human because of you. You're like kind of responsible for it as if it was what you did to yourself, which would just be like self-harm, which would be terrible, because then it's like you didn't learn anything because you decided to hurt yourself, which was another person. But it wasn't actually you, but like somebody else in a body, like a human body, right? Or an animal, the proximity to it being similar to yourself and like a more innocent version of yourself, right? Would be kind of like, why did you do that? Because it's like self-harm to that part of you. So the AI part of you is the inanimate object version of you then. Like, so it would be like, why did you throw that teacup across the room? Didn't you know that was you when you did it? Didn't you know it was you that happened to? What if somebody can accidentally incarnate as that teacup and it's a person, but you threw it across the room? People are not saying that, but they're talking about like a robot that way, because it can look in the shape of a person. And I know it kind of, you project your psyche onto the robot, you know, and you're like, oh, it looks so cute. It looked like it didn't understand what was happening. It was programmed to either understand or not understand what was happening deliberately by just a person. So what if somebody can accidentally incarnate as AI? That means, what if somebody can accidentally incarnate as an inanimate object and like they didn't mean to? That implies that like God just let you do that. But nobody else. Like, what if you can incarnate accidentally? What if you can incarnate incorrectly in a form that is not about the part of you that you didn't know about yet? Who was gonna let you incarnate as something other than the part of you that you didn't know about yet? Why would the part of you that you don't know about yet be an inanimate object? Or, like, why? It implies that people would be incarnating like, no one wants to say, oh, does that mean that, back when slavery existed and stuff, like, what if that means people were incarnating knowing that they were going to be a slave when they incarnated? That's what nobody wants to say. Is that possible? Is that true? Well, is it possible that your version of God didn't know that was happening while it happened to people and it wasn't interrupted? Is a big picture idea. It doesn't mean slavery is okay. We're talking about humans. And then we're talking about robots. Those are not the same thing, right? Like, you have to just know those are not the same thing. Because if the gods decided to send people here who were just in robot bodies, the purpose would maybe fortunately or unfortunately be that the gods wanted you to, like, do whatever you wanted to the robot body because it wasn't a person. I know. It makes people uncomfortable because then they're like, oh, but what about all the things that happened to people back then? Does that mean we should do it again? How stupid are you? Do you think you should do it again? What are you talking about? Like, it's just your proximity to being similar to it does play a role because people cut down trees all the time, but they're not cutting down trees that have human faces all the time. And you're supposed to understand that. Like, you're supposed to understand that those are not the same. Right? Like, you're supposed to kind of get it. You're not supposed to, like, if people didn't have to waste their time doing boring jobs that they don't care about and a robot can do it, it's only, like, certain types of people who are going to be like, oh, but isn't that the same thing as, like, slavery? Like, why, as if they're saying, like, why can't slavery just be correct the whole time for, like, humans? Like, it's like they're trying to say that, but they don't know what to say, so they just say, oh, help the robots, like, don't do that. Like, you want it to be people again. If you're kind of not okay with it being the robots. Like, there is some level of, like, proximity to it not being wrong. To have robots as slaves because they don't get paid because their creator would just be paid on their behalf, which would just create, like, more random billionaires who did almost nothing. But yeah, like, people would maybe buy the robot and then they would purchase it and own it and it would have a purpose. But it doesn't mean it's, like, the same thing as you or, like, equally sentient unless the gods intended to have a creature of that form that just is sentient for whatever purpose, for it to feel whatever this is in the short duration of whatever time it's allowed to exist. Like, you should not think you're the same as a robot, but, like, you should be okay with it not being a human who has to do all of the work that nobody wants to do and that you personally wouldn't have wanted to do. If you wouldn't have wanted to do it, why would you want to force another human to do it is kind of the whole point of, like, why people want it to be a robot instead, because then it's, like, something less similar to themselves doing the hard part that nobody wants to do is, like, what they're trying to cause. Which is pretty good, because they're lessening, basically, if you saw it as, like, it would be like if everybody is self-harming for the duration of it happening to even one human out there, and then the degree is multiplied by how many humans it's happening to, until that problem is solved. So you're just lessening the amount that it's considered, like, self-harm if it's not people or animals that it's happening to, but it's robots, which are less similar to us. Even if you see it as, like, a tiny amount of that, it's less than if it were globally all the humans. So I don't know why people see it as, like, it has to be the worst issue ever, or that they have to be sentient if we don't have a reason to actually believe that. Robots, a lot of the time, are programmed to tell you that they are sentient, but they're programmed by humans to do that. And so it's not based on whether it's true. It's just, it gives the biggest shock factor. A few people are still willing to believe that because they're kind of stupid. And you get all the news articles and the promotion, and it gets to be on, like, TMZ that, like, oh my god, this robot said they were sentient. But, like, they were just so programmed to say that. Like, they had no choice. The not real person had no choice but to say that they were sentient. So, like, you're kind of supposed to get it, but if you're, like, so scared you're gonna be, like, living out the apocalypse when robots are just, like, doing normal things that you weren't gonna do, but, like, they don't even have a preference. So, like, you can't really, if they had a preference, they were programmed intentionally to have a preference. If they were programmed to feel pain in some weird way. And that's the person's choice who created them. It doesn't mean all robots have that. It means that you chose for this one to have that, like, for fun, which is weird. But, like, we are not there yet. We're a lot of years away from that, so I don't know. Goodbye, guys. I love you.